You can't make this up. That's all I got to say. So his name is Boogaloosa Mayor Tyron Trelone. So he was arrested for allegedly pimping and being a drug kingman down in Louisiana. Now, since his arrest, he made a social media post saying, when you're cutting contracts, he 23. Y'all elected a 23-year-old. When you're cutting contracts, shutting down favors, and exerting influence, shaking up things, and exposing truth, you become a target. Louisiana State Police arrested Bogalusa Mayor Tyron Trong, alleging he took part in a drug trafficking scheme and solicited a prostitute while attending a conference in Atlanta. And he a nice looking guy. That's him. One of the youngest mayor ever in Louisiana, he unseated the town's previous mayor in 2022 after promising to replace local appointee and reduce crime in an area that has been riddled with gun violence. Who is Tyrant Trong? Trong grew up in Bucaloosa, and after graduating from Washington University in St. Louis, Missouri, with a degree in African American Studies, moved back to his hometown with hopes for running for public office. During his time in Missouri, he returned for Democratic U.S. Representative Lacey Clay. In 2022, he ran as a Democratic candidate for mayor, securing 56% of the vote to beat out incumbent Wendy O'Quinn Perret, who received just 19% of the vote. You can't make this up. Truong has pushed for increased police presence on the streets during his time in office, which some have credited with Bogalusa's lower crime rates. Three Washington peers. Okay, what we get? All right, I can meet that. Truong has stirred up political battles since his election. Before he was sworn in, he pushed for Bogalusa police chief resignation after a black man died in department's custody. The mayor came under fire in 2023 after suggesting the city dissolves its 33 officer police force and transfer its responsibility to the Washington Parish Sheriff's Office as a way to save money. And that year, a 51-year-old man was arrested on counts of cyber stalking after police said he made threats against the mayor. He was arrested in January in connection with a shooting outside of Bogalusa High School basketball game that killed one student and injured another. He's my half brother, Tehran told at the time. But we can't be held accountable for what a family member is doing. We all have family members doing things we're not proud of. The young mayor also recently sparred with the city council over a budget freeze, accusing a council member of threatening him with a gun following a meeting in April. Trulon said he would press charges against the council member after the incident. He was arrested on counts of transactions involving proceeds from drug offenses, unauthorized use of a movable, and soliciting for prostitutes. You can't make this up. The allegations are part of a multi agency drug trafficking investigation being conducted by state police, the 22nd Judicial District Court District Attorney's Office, the Louisiana Louisiana Attorney General Liz Murrow's office and Department of Environmental Quality. North Shore District Attorney Colin Sims said Truong allegedly organized entertainment with a prostitute at a short-term rental he booked with public money while attending a mayor's conference in Atlanta. He also allegedly purchased drugs in Louisiana. Warrants have been issued for 6 other Bogalusa residents related to the case. So after he arrested, he took to social media amid an investigation into allegations of drugs and prostitution charges. He posted bail after he was arrested, along with several others in connection with the investigation by Louisiana police. He needs the public's help in financing his legal defense. He wrote, "When you made history by electing me as the youngest mayor in the country on November 8th, 2022, we all knew there would be challenges, but none of us expected this, including me. If you know me, you know District Attorney Colin Sims is reaching with these charges. I have been a target since day one because I wouldn't continue with business as usual in Bogalusa. I've shaken a lot of things up, and politics can get messy as some of my biggest detractors are some of the DA's biggest supporters, and they got pressure on him to come after me politically. I supported his opponent in the last election, so to him, it's get back time. Their goal is to destroy my character, credibility, family, finances, and break my spirit. We need your help proving my innocence in the Deep South with the best lawyers that have ever seen grace a stand. Each morning since taking this job, I have recited the first three verses of Psalm 27, and today is no different. I love this scripture so much that it was forever etched on my arm in college. When you're cutting contracts, shutting down favors, exerting influence, shaking up things, and exposing truths, you become a target. I pray that God reveals every person that had a hand at this, and there are many. Supporters are showing outpouring of love for this mayor. If you think I can run a drug operation and all of those other accusations, you're sadly mistaken. Those who know me, and I'll let God and my attorney handle the rest. And then he posted Psalm 37. So he needs the public help in financing his legal defense. I thank my family, friends, and multitude of supporters for the outpouring of love. Multiple law enforcement officers were seen at his home. He is facing the following charges: transaction involving proceeds from drug offenses, unauthorized use of a movable, soliciting for prostitutes, the act of taking someone else's personal property without their permission, knowledge, or consent. Others arrested was Mackenzie Saflelu, 24, Bogalusa, is facing charges: transaction involving proceeds from drug offenses, conspiracy to distribute a Schedule 1 CDS. Desaline Pittman, 24, he is transaction involving proceeds from drug offenses, conspiracy to distribute Schedule 1 CDS, distribution of Class 2. Oh, this is the whole family. Salene Pittman, 26, transaction involving proceeds from drug offenses. Tanya Renee, 51, proceeds from drug offenses, conspiracy to distribute Schedule 1 CDS. Devon Williams, 28, the same. In April, Louisiana State Police Narcotics Violent Crime Task Force learned of a drug trafficking operation operating in Bogalusa. The organization has been linked to several dangerous controlled substances, including opioids, high grade marijuana, THC products, and MDMA. According to state police, the organization used social media to distribute the drugs, and payments with some money used to purchase guns. State police also said that some of the guns were given to people who were not legally allowed to have them and others who were linked to violent crimes in Bogalusa. All right, now let's see. Let me go here and see what they saying. So
Power up your next adventure at Covington Power Sports, your Honda Power Sports Supercenter.
so he hired um high profile attorney to represent him. What's his name? Oh, the high profile attorney Billy Gibbons confirmed to the WDSU that he is now representing Truong in the case. Gibbons is no stranger to high profile crime in the New Orleans area. Gibbons is the go-to defense attorney for many high-ranking officials in metro area. Gibbons most recently represented Orleans Parish District Attorney Jason Williams in his tax fraud case, in which he was acquitted. He also represented convicted rapist Jack Strang, NFL safety Darren Sharpner, who settled with rape accusers, and New Orleans Mayor LaToya Cantrell when she was accused of misusing city credit cards. Gibbons specialized in criminal defense but has experience in various areas of law, including fraud, money laundering, tax bribery, public corruption, antitrust, environmental charges, various industries, including financial services, oil, gas, healthcare, technology, construction, and media. Gibbons is the former federal prosecutor in the Eastern District of Louisiana. So I already told you about all the other people who were arrested. According to troopers, the investigation began in April when Louisiana State Police Narcotics learned of a drug trafficking organization in Bogalusa. Okay, yeah, I said all that. Let me see. I talked about he asked. I think so. He denied these charges. Let me see if I can get this right.
BOGALUSA City Hall seems to be in turmoil tonight with the mayor facing criminal charges and this fight over who will look over the city's finances. It seems like the small town has had some very big drama. Amelia Strahan was there today and explains.
Just over a month after his arrest, Bogalusa Mayor Tyron Truong is proclaiming his innocence.
I look forward to my day to prove my innocence.
In January, Washington Parish District Attorney Colin Sims says Truong was booked on charges related to an alleged drug trafficking scheme.
The mayor was not a subject or a target at the beginning of that investigation. And during the course and scope of that investigation, he was encountered and ultimately arrested and charged due to any and all activity that he was engaged in.
Details are still slim on the case, and while that plays out, there's another drama unfolding at City Hall. This one is financial. According to Mayor Tyron Trong, the city is in legal trouble with the state. Court documents sent to us by State Legislative Auditor's Office show a slew of financial shortcomings, including over $1 million owed to the IRS and a years-long budget deficit.
The state is alleging that we are not paying our bills, which is not true. We have receipts, we have documentation, internal financial documents that show that we have paid most, if not all, of the bills.
After State Attorney General Liz Murrell filed the petition to appoint a fiscal administrator, council members chose former city auditor Robert Nielsen. Strong says Nielsen's complicated employment history is a conflict of interest.
I think that the proposed fiscal administrator has many conflicts of interest. You know, the fact that he was terminated.
But Nielsen rejects Strong's claims.
The mayor does not have the authority to terminate the auditor at the city of Bogalusa.
Nielsen says he withdrew his audit after reviewing the city's chaotic bookkeeping.
He's lying when he says that he fired us and he's lying.
Nielsen's confirmation is set for this Friday at 10 a.m. In Bogalusa, Amelia Strahan, WWL, Louisiana.
Well, now Trump says he plans to ask a state judge to pause Friday's confirmation, and according to the mayor, he needs more time to find an attorney to represent the city. We reached out to the city council and didn't hear back.
Wow. Wow. That's all I could say.
One day after Bogalusa's mayor was released from jail, his staff says he's back at City Hall. Tyron Chung posted bail last night after he was booked on charges of drug trafficking, soliciting prostitutes, and unauthorized use of a car.
One other than post on social media, we really haven't heard a word from the mayor or from investigators. So Amelia Strahan went to Washington Parish to bring us the latest.
Do you have any comments?
No, we don't comment.
The morning after Bogalusa Mayor Tyron Trong was released from Washington Parish Jail, he posted this on Facebook, thanking his supporters and claiming his innocence.
He's innocent. He's not guilty of any charges, you know. And I'm going to back him to the end.
Washington Parish District Attorney Colin Sims said law enforcement was investigating a drug operation when they found evidence incriminating Trong.
But the evidence that was collected, the evidence that was reviewed, led to that incidentally.
With so many standing by the mayor's side, we wanted to know what evidence led investigators to Trong, where Trong's colleagues stand, and what the mayor himself had to say about the charges. Wednesday morning, we started with law enforcement, requesting court records and footage of the arrest. Next, we called each council member on the city's website. Only council member Penny Douglas answered and promptly said no comment. And that's basically what we got from the mayor, too. Less than 24 hours after posting bail, Bogalusa Mayor Tyron Trong posted on social media saying whoever thinks he's part of a drug trafficking operation is, quote, mistaken. So we came here to Bogalusa City Hall to ask him a few questions, but he didn't want to talk to us. Our calls, texts, and Facebook messages to Trong went unanswered. We even stopped by his attorney's office, and the receptionist told us he would get back to us. For now, we don't know much more than when we started and are still looking for answers. Reporting from Bogalusa, Amelia Strahan, WWL, Louisiana.
At least 6 others were arrested on charges related to the alleged drug trafficking operation. Police say the alleged drug trafficking organization was using social media to sell illegal substances, including opioids and high-grade marijuana.
You can't make this up. Let me see what I got on this phone. I'm getting ready to go to bed. But I thought this was interesting. We have to learn we can't do what other folks do. We just can't. It don't work out that way.
A 23-year-old, you heard that right, will become the next mayor of Bogalusa.
It was a speech Bogalusa Mayor-elect Tyron Trong wasn't sure he'd give Tuesday night.
Everybody kept saying it's going to be a runoff, so I prepared 2 speeches just in case.
When the numbers came in, it was the victory speech the 23-year-old used to thank supporters after a campaign he says was tough and often met with skepticism.
You always have to meet with community leaders. That's the first thing that you do with somebody who's running for office. And more than one laughed at me in my face when I said that I was running for mayor.
So this was the celebration back in 2022 on election night when Tyron Young, a 23-year-old black man, was elected mayor of a Louisiana town, becoming one of the youngest people and one of the youngest black people to ever serve as a mayor in the state of Louisiana. And you can see there is shock, there's jubilation from a bunch of different people. He seemed to run a quite wholesome campaign where he was pictured holding his baby, so he's a black father in the life of his child. And wouldn't you know it, 2 years to the day from Inauguration Day, he would be raided by the DEA, by the Louisiana State Police on charges that include having a drug trafficking empire, shipping guns to criminals, and of course, spending a lot of his time and money that he earned through these illicit operations, hanging out with prostitutes. It's absolutely crazy what is going on in this particular case. This may be a story of DEI gone wrong, and we're talking not just about race, but definitely about age, and it's absolute madness from top to bottom. But before we get into that, I just want to say thank you to everybody who supports this channel via actualjusticewarrior.com/join.
Oh, give me the money.
And operating in this area.
It came just hours after one of the arrestees, Bogalusa Mayor Tyron Trong, was released after paying his $150,000 bail. Trong was arrested and booked with 6 other suspects for allegedly selling illegal drugs, using the profits to buy firearms, and then giving those guns to people who can't legally own firearms, or even people who went to use those guns in crimes in Bogalusa.
Now, of course, this young man, Tyron Young, has a bunch of different supporters in the community. Obviously, you can see the district attorney in this area is white, and make no mistake about it, part of the reason why he was elected was due to racial politics, and you can see clearly and obviously in the group of people that are supportive of him that there appears to be a racial undertone to that. So they're saying, oh my God, an innocent Beba Angel black person is such a great guy, such a wonderful guy, you can't arrest him for these crimes. But I do want to point out, if these allegations are proven true, what this man was doing was absolutely shameful. Now, again, I don't know how you guys feel about drug trafficking. Some of you say it depends on the drugs and all of that. I completely understand that. But he was using the money from the drug trafficking to participate, again, allegedly, in firearms trafficking, where he gave guns to known criminals, and those guns did, in fact, appear in a bunch of different crimes around the community. So you have an instance where a guy who, granted, had a great public image before, was a father, was in his child's life. You can actually see campaign stuff where he's holding his kid, was actually arming the criminal underworld in the community, if these allegations are to be true. And that was having disproportionate negative impacts on black people. But you have black people supporting him because of this is their young, innocent Beba Angel black mayor who couldn't do anything wrong. But again, if you look at some of the documentation surrounding this, it's actually pretty solid.
Neighbors at today.
This will be my last one. I'm going to sleep. I'm falling asleep. Y'all like, share, subscribe, leave a comment, hit the like button. Well, if he did that, then, you know, allegedly, but it'll come out. So I'm going to be following this when he go to trial on this one, too. I'm following so many trials. Looking for this last video. This is January 28th. Oh, my goodness, I'm sleeping. I'm going to sleep good. Okay, here we go. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Okay, I did that one already. Oh, I got quite a few videos. Oh, that video gone.
Tyron Trong is facing multiple charges, including drug trafficking and solicitation of prostitutes. Investigators say at least 20 people overall, including Trong, were arrested after a months-long investigation into an online drug organization. The news is not sitting well with city residents, some of whom believe Trong is being singled out. There was already friction between Trong and the city police department after he requested to disband the department and allow the Paris Sheriff's Office to take over law enforcement.
And this mayor is trying to straighten things out and make things better. The critics don't want him to take over. They want to keep doing what they're doing. They don't like him because he's doing what's right.
District Attorney Colin Sims said at their city council meeting yesterday that evidence backs the charges against Trong.
Bogalusa, Louisiana Mayor Tyron Trong is out on bail. You know, he got charged with prostitution charges, weapons and drug charges. This case is very interesting, okay? Now, this guy is 25 years old. He was 22 years old when he got elected to be the mayor of Bogalusa, Louisiana. Far too young, in my opinion,
Facts, I agree.
Run for, let alone hold office. You don't have any world experience about you. Although, I will say this guy's no Tiffany Henyard. He presents professionally.
He does.
You don't have any substance behind that, young man. Now, when I hear this guy talk, when I look at what he's done, which we're going to look at something very interesting in a moment. When I look at what he's done, I say, wow, that cat would have had a very prominent career in politics.
I agree.
Probably if he had waited a few years. The trouble he's in could be a result of his immaturity. They say that areas of the brain don't even mature fully until the age of 25. He just achieved that. 22 when he got elected, right? So, listen, either he did it or he didn't. Now, it is true that he has generated some enmity from the Bogalusa Police Department because he wanted to make some serious cuts to that department. But it is also true that when these citizens down there say that he has done good things, yes.
I'm just ready to move past a lot of this petty politics that I have to deal with and focus on big stuff that's going to make a difference.
24-year-old Tyron Trong, one of the youngest mayors ever elected in Louisiana, began a number of programs which he believes made a difference.
We have a huge teen gun violence problem here in the city. We've installed a school resource officer over at the high school that's going particularly well. The kids trust him.
Trong also hired Bogalusa's first ever director of children and family success.
He's had the youth corps that was here in the summertime. They did a lot of things, and the kids even see the change.
In fact, the police department says homicides dropped by 48% this year.
Last year we had about 9 homicides, and this year we're right at 4, and one of those was actually a tragic accident. It was where alcohol was involved.
After 1 year in office, Mayor Trump believes he has helped to make Bogalusa a better place, and he's not shying away from attempting to make more fundamental change in the year ahead.
We've been discussing with the new sheriff-elect about potentially doing what Abita Springs did and turn over police into the sheriff's department.
Trump says Bogalusa's 30-man police department is top-heavy, and he proposes the formation of a committee to study ways of making policing more cost-effective. But at a time when homicides are down, the police department says it's been blindsided.
To me personally, is a bad idea. There's no way any other agency could come in and maintain the manpower we have or the dedicated resources to.
I'm so sleepy, y'all. I really am. I think this is the last one, but I'm going to keep up with the trial as it starts.
But again, we are following the breaking news with the mayor of Bogalusa arrested, now facing major charges after a slew of officers were seen raiding his home early this morning. Tyron Trong was elected mayor in 2022 and at 23 years old was the youngest mayor the city ever had, the youngest mayor in our state, actually. This is a look at the large law enforcement presence seen at his home this morning. And for more on these developments, we're going to send things over to North Shore reporter Shawanda Jones from BOGALUSA. And Shawanda, what are you learning all new at noon?
Well, Randy, we know that Bogalusa's 25-year-old mayor, Tyron Trong, is now behind bars accused of using drug money, soliciting prostitutes, and more crimes. Now, we know from Louisiana State Police that this investigation stemmed from an earlier investigation back in April of this year into drug trafficking ring flooding the streets with opioids, marijuana, and MDMA. Now, this is a video of the scene earlier during the arrest today. Investigators say Trong and 6 other people in this group used social media to deal drugs and launder money profits that were even used to buy guns. And some of those guns are now being linked to violent crimes. The Attorney General calls this situation disappointing and that the mayor showed a lot of promise. However, she says that the probe is far from being over in this RICO case.
There were a large number of people arrested today in connection
they
with
charged
a
him
particular
with RICO?
investigation, and we expect there to be more. So it is an ongoing matter, and I think that you'll continue to hear us address problems in the city of Bogalusa.
Wow.
Now, the mayor has been arrested and is being held here with 6 other suspects at the Washington Parish Jail. Reporting live from Franklinton, I'm Shawanda Jones, WDSU News.
And Shawanda also
Shameful if it's true. Like, share, subscribe, hit the like button. Y'all have a good night. I'm tired.